Hi guys, I'm Ankit. I am the founder of the House of Tales, and I am trying to tell better stories in a visual format. I feel that everything we do, we tell, we share is a format of stories, written stories, visual stories, the way you talk to people, the way you're sitting with your friends and telling your childhood stories where you did something. It's all stories, and what we are trying to do is tell better visual stories through our love for photography and videography. I can be a photographer and take your picture, but more than that, I believe that for me over there, to be a human is more important, and to make them feel calm is more important. So it's not only a photographer that you're hiring.
Sagat, where do you come from? Why are you here? Why this? It's so unusual. Indian people are generally engineers and doctors, as the myth goes.
So I'm born in Rajasthan. I come from a Marwadi business family, and I've been brought up in Assam. And I don't know about other people, but
Marwadi kids unite. Marwadi kids unite. Hello, fellow Marwadi.
hi Marwadi again. So I grew up in Assam, and like when I was growing up, the internet was not a thing. Like it was a thing, but it was not accessible to people like coming from smaller cities or smaller, like, backgrounds. So never had the exposure of what you want to do, how you want to do. The whole world was, school and the teachers and whatever knowledge they had to share with us. So if like I was in the 10th standard, I would have asked my teacher, I want to become a pilot. How do I become a pilot? Nobody would know, right? Because the exposure was very less. And I wanted to step out and learn and more about the world and things and how things work. And that's how I moved out of Assam and went, because I had three options: physics, chemistry, maths. Like PCM lena hai, PCB lena hai. Either you take commerce or you take like arts.
Right.
So right, arts लेना नहीं था क्योंकि पढ़ाई में अच्छा था, हमारा बच्चा होशियार है. And commerce, it was like coming from a Marwadi background, it would be like commerce किया है, let's गल्ले पे बैठा देते हैं इसको. Right. So science was the only option for me to step out of home and to step out because I did not have a choice. And I never knew what I wanted to do because I never had that kind of exposure or things, or I haven't met people because, the whole Marwadi circle is more of Marwadis doing Marwadi businesses and, running businesses. But, other than that, like job or career wise, there's nothing that I was exposed to. So I moved out. Like engineering is the option because doctor में तो बुढ़ापा निकल जाएगा मेरा. बुढ़ापा आ जाएगा, जवानी पूरी निकल जाएगी. So engineering was the only option. I ended up in Kota with like a horde of
Oh, wow.
other shifts. Yeah, so वहां जाके पता चला कि आईआईटी नामक इंस्टीट्यूट है इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा. उसके लिए पढ़ाई करनी है, पढ़ना है, सब करना है. सो लाइक चलो करते हैं. बाहर निकलने का एक तरीका मिला. एंड आई यूज्ड टू रीड अ लॉट ऑफ बुक्स. I met somebody in the train, and I got to introduce to the world of Indian novels, love stories. And I was like, as a young kid, you are intrigued, right? What is happening around the world? What is this? And coming again from like, a person who was not exposed to a lot of things, I wanted to read a lot. So I used to read books over there. Then I started reading magazines, and I got into photography magazines. And I saved my pocket money and got my first camera with that. And I started taking pictures. And my friends used to, and Instagram was very new thing at that time. Like उस समय इंस्टाग्राम पे लाइक स्क्वायर सिर्फ स्क्वायर आता था. अभी तो 4:5 आता है. उस समय सिर्फ स्क्वायर आता था और बहुत ही गंदा यूआई. So yeah, I got inspired, and then friends, told me that yeah, you take good pictures and everything. तो हमने कहा चलो कोशिश करते हैं. Let's choose a college, or let's choose a city where I can explore this. Right. So after that, I had option of either going to Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, or Calcutta. Calcutta, no, because I didn't want to stay close to home. Delhi was like, we all know why the Delhi, so isn't safe even for me. So Delhi is there. Bombay was too expensive, so I ended up in Bangalore. And over there, I explored different. I joined the photography club in my college. I learned a lot of things from there. My college seniors used to teach me a lot of things. Then I started shooting gigs from there because Bangalore had a lot of, gigs happening and everything. I started shooting for Airbnb through contacts over there. Did some work for Zomato. After that, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में तो आ गया मैं, बट एक साल में पता चल गया कि यार दिस piece of paper that I'll get after 4 years of education is not worth my time, because I felt that maybe I can do it for the degree, maybe I can do it for the वीजा पर्पसेस, मैरिज पर्पसेस, कि हमारे बेटे के पास डिग्री है एटलीस्ट वो कर सकता था, बट देन आई रियलाइज दैट वट एवर मनी दैट आई एम गोइंग टू स्पेंड इन द लास्ट नेक्स्ट 3 years and my time, money maybe I can earn it again, but the time that I have, the prime of my life, where I'm like very very into things, and I have the energy physically, mentally, and to do things and to travel and to work, wo nahi, like nobody else can ever give me back that time. So I was like, let's just not do it for a piece of paper. Let's just work for what you want to work for. And I ended up as a photographer.
Let's go from the romance novels to the photography and everything in the middle. Still very unusual. Still very unusual to think that I've gone to college and I'm going to do photography, and from photography, where you are now. So let's explore a little bit of your current work. What exactly is House of Tales and what exactly it is doing? And then let's build from you, photographer you, and romanticize you to now.
So House of Tales is basically my baby, like a child, and it's very young. We are still nurturing it. We are still, expanding our horizons in terms of work, in terms of things. And majorly, we do wedding photography, which is our main source of revenue. We have a section completely dedicated to wedding photography. We take very limited projects in terms of weddings, because we are very selective with the stories, and how we can portray, if the client's taste and artist is aligning, like creatively it's aligning or not. So we take up very limited projects, but we take up stories through which we can express our work. Then there's editing section. We have an in-house editing team. So COVID happened, right? And the market was completely shook, and the whole world was shut down. And that affected a lot to our pockets and minds. And creatively also, because you can't step out of home, you can't create art, you can't create pictures out of it. So we were stuck. And then I realized that, shooting is not the only thing that we can rely on revenue wise. So we have to do something else. So over then, during COVID, I started editing for other people. And over the time, I realized that people in India pay less, but the people abroad, they pay more. So we started contacting photographers and teams and everything. And now we do bulk editing for photographers from US, Europe, Africa, UK. We started that, the editing part. And the third is helping out new musicians, new homegrown brands, new startups, like people who are like, solo and doing it out there, and they don't have the budget to, express their stories through social media, through uh, visual story for telling, in any format. Like they don't have those kind of resources, or they don't have those kind of, backups, like, funds to help out. So we help them grow through whichever way we can, through social media, through taking pictures, through telling their short stories and everything. So like suppose there's an artist, like a musician, we can help them with a music video. We can help them, like there are like painters, we can take pictures of the paintings, show them in different environments.
Ankit, I have a very different way of looking at this. So, as a kid, I was gifted a camera by someone I knew, roamed around taking pictures on auto mode. It was a DSLR camera. Went to the jungles, took a lot of animal photos and all, and I was like, oh my god, I want to be a wildlife photographer. Three Idiots had just come out, and I was like, yeah, we are going to go, we're going to take a camera, we're going to live in the jungles, and we're going to do wildlife photography. Obviously, that didn't pan out, and there was a whole thing in between there, and where I am today. But today we are in a world where our phone cameras are probably better than most cameras that you have professionally speaking. How do you define photography in today's world? When you say you're a photographer and when you are giving someone the thing that, okay, I am a photographer, what do you do that makes you different from me sitting there with a phone camera going, yeah, I can take your picture, I can shoot a video for you?
See, taking pictures, I think everybody is a photographer, right? So everybody, because we love taking pictures, right? For our social media, of our food, of things, of the people we love, or the things miss, or the things we do in general. Like we love taking pictures of the sunset and the sky, right? Everybody loves that, right? You go on any dating app, you see, and like I'm sure, like Vishruth and Akhil, you guys are like potential bachelors, like hot shots in your own towns. So if you are on dating apps, you would see, right? Everybody loves travel, everybody loves sunsets.
Such
So
hot shots sitting in our rooms recording podcasts with random people. And then I was going to say, Vishruth is like, I wanted to shoot animals, but I've started shooting ourselves. So me and Vishruth have kind of become animals.
we are doing wildlife photography right now, yeah.
Pretty wildlife, hot shot.
We're shooting the most interesting animal, my friend.
True that, human being. So yeah, but
So
when
I
it
think
comes to professional photography, it's not just about shooting. It's about also professional ethics. It's also about how you're shooting, the understanding of light, the understanding of storytelling, the understanding of creating a mood board, and understanding what the client is expecting, or what the person, to showcase them as they are on the other side of the lens, whoever it is, to showcase them as they are, rather than just making them stand in a good golden light, golden hour, and taking a video or a picture.
Let's have 5 ways of making a picture more beautiful than you would, because all a lot of our viewers are going to have kids, a lot of our viewers have events, a lot of our viewers want to just click photos. So 5 ways of making a photo better than we think we are taking that.
uh Personally, these are like all personal 5 things that I'm going to share, like which I think. So one thing about me is, ever since I got a good phone, I have stopped taking pictures from the camera. Until unless I get paid from it, I don't take pictures from the camera. Right. So because the phone quality, as we should mention, are so amazing. Like I think sometimes better, and it's so accessible. You can just take a picture if you want to edit it, quickly edit it in the Lightroom or Snapseed, share it on your social media, share it on the WhatsApp group, family group, or anything. Right. So I have started doing that. One thing I have started like shooting more of, like, if you want to capture more, like 5 ways of shooting, right? Capture wider frames, like more storytelling frames, more things. Like if you have, suppose you have a kid, so if you just take the picture of the kid, that is beautiful, you can take it in portrait mode and it will look amazing. But when you tell on a wider frame, it tells more stories of where the kid is from, what the location is, or if the mother of the kid is in the frame, or if somebody else is in the frame, right? That's more storytelling format. So right, those remind you more, because बच्चे की फोटो सिर्फ सिर्फ बच्चे की तो आप हजारों लोग हैं, पर उसके जो एनवायरनमेंट है, उसकी चीज़ों की हम बहुत कम लेते हैं। The wider view, the vision. Yeah. Second is always look for good light. I think like the softer the light you have, like on an afternoon, I think the window light जो diffuse होके आती है, that is like premium, like how you say in Bangalore, chumma light. Yeah. So that, what else? Shoot a lot. And if you are an iPhone user or any, I think most of the Android phones also have that. You can turn on the live part, make the photos live. So you can always choose, like even if you miss it, some key moment, you can, change the frame and make it a key photo frame. Yeah. And other thing would be making your subject feel comfortable. Like you understand where they come from, what environment they are in, respect their emotions, and respect their understanding of why you are taking their pictures.
I would love to have a frame of Vishruth while you're talking. We are gonna capture the frame of Vishruth because he's taking notes. And I love that.
Perfect.
no, so I was writing these down because I wanted to get into each of these. So when you say on one, again, as I said, the one hand you say shoot on the phone, right?
Yeah.
You're saying shoot on the phone, obviously Very self-explanatory. Best camera you have access to, least most accessible, and everything like that. So here, this is again where I have this question. I can shoot on my phone. I can put in the time. I can put in the effort. Today, why am I coming to you, Ankit? What is my reason as a person who wants to hire a photographer, or who why do I today need a photographer? This is the question that I have eventually. You go to so many events and you see that the photographer is there taking pictures with their camera. However, when there is a group photo being taken, oftentimes there will be two people from the group who will give their phones to the photographer saying that, hi, please take the photo with your camera as well as with our phones. So I want to know why. What is my why for hiring you or coming to you?
Also, can you add one more thing to that? Why do you guys carry those lights? Like within weddings, I have seen like two people are just there to carry that huge
Yeah.
light, which is like running behind. So, what's the science behind lights and
So, okay, I'll tell you. First, let me come to Vishruth. Regarding the whole why you should hire a professional photographer, right? You should hire a professional photographer because it's not only about photography.
Not professional photographer. Why should I hire you?
Yeah,
I want to know why I should hire you.
why you should hire me.
Professional photographer तो बहुत हैं यार. We don't want to get into generics. I want to know specific.
So, like, let's take an example of suppose Vishruth is getting married and he has contacted me to shoot his wedding.
And Vishwat has not even invited me to his wedding. Vishwat, what are you doing?
Dude, I am not invited to my own wedding.
Yet to be printed.
What are you talking about, you? I am not invited. Ankit has been hired for it.
Of course, see, I always go with a very similar logic, right? Every person you talk to, you meet, can be a potential client, or their family members can be. So, प्यार और व्यापार जहाँ मिले ले ले चाहिए,
बिल्कुल.
right? So yeah, why you should hire me? See, it's first thing, the you are professionally appointing somebody to shoot one of the key moments of your life, right? And if you are hiring me, you get to see all the previous work that we have done, right? Our commitments, our work ethics, from the reviews and testimonials from our client, how we work, right? And more importantly, before taking up any project, we interact with the client, understand their sense of photos, how they like it, right? Particularly, if you're like, a lot of people are very particular about their profiles. A lot of our people are very particular about things, right? And on a wedding day or on any like, main event of your life, you are caught up with 1,000 other things. And photography is one thing that is being taken care of. You don't have to tell them. Plus, more than just that, we understand the couples or our clients' music taste. Before the wedding, we ask them to send their playlist to us, and we listen to all the music that they listen to understand, what kind of what make them groove, what they make them happy, and everything. And personally, personally, this is like I have been a therapist as well for people on the wedding days. Like I have seen so many people having wedding jitters, cold feet before the fairas, and at that time, it's I can be a photographer and take your picture. But more than that, I believe that for me over there, to be a human is more important and to make them feel calm is more important. So it's not only a photographer that you're hiring. There are times, when the couple would be like, यार अंकित मजा नहीं आ रहा है कुछ चुटकुला सुना. So we have a set of jokes that we have written and we keep on improvising them according to the client and the humor and everything. Dark humor, light humor, dead baby jokes. I would suggest never to do that on the wedding day.
Dead baby jokes, man. That takes me back to school.
I think one of my worst jokes that I have done over there is what starts with M and ends with ARRIAG.
Miscarriage.
You go there. See,
I'm telling you, this has taken me back to school. I'm telling you, this is like, I feel like I'm back in grade 11.
Your school was a morbid place, man. Like, what are you talking
Dude,
about?
The amount of time we have spent on dead baby jokes. Why do you think this came to me so quickly?
So you crack jokes, you tell people, you make them feel comfortable, and more than that, I feel the whole team gels up with the whole families as if like you're a part of the family member. While shooting, you won't feel that there's a photographer who is shooting me, right? Because we all are young, more like open to because we have lived in different cities. We are more open to ideas. We are more open to experimenting and pushing that last push sometimes because wedding days or any shoot days can be very hectic. It can start from like 10 hours to 28 hours a day. Like the highest I've shot is 28 hours continuously. So they can and when you're shooting back to back, like it can be mentally very toxic, right? Your health doesn't matter. Even if you're sick, you have to show up on the shoot, right? Even if something is not right with mentally also something happened, you have to be there on the shoot. So those kind of things, that's why you hire a professional, or me, of course, me right now. Yeah. Also, suppose you are not hiring a professional, okay, or you are not hiring me. What is the possibility? You guys are into tech a little bit, right? You guys are doing podcasts and stuff, and you have done a lot of podcasts with other people, so you know tech, how it works. How important do you think the data is?
Very.
Very. So when you hire a professional, the data is one of the most important things for them, and they know how to take care of it. Have multiple backups, and we have our own set of rules, particular rules how through which we store the data. Yeah. All the like data is stored like in three places. And suppose we are coming back shooting Vishrut's wedding from Calcutta, we are coming down to Bombay. So there are like three copies of the data, three hard drives, and no, not all of the hard drives will be in the same flight. We make sure we book different flights for the team members because अगर flight crash होगी तो आपकी शादी का data गया ना.
You guys could use a NAS,
Of course we can, but when you're dealing with almost uh, 500 to 600 GB of data per day basis, and you're shooting and baking up the data, and not all the places have that kind of internet access, right? So you have to be quick on your feet. So once we are back to our base, we use the NAS system.
Interesting. Nice. That would make a lot of sense. I
Yeah,
think, like given how tedious times we live in and how the file sizes are just increasing. We had a very interesting experience, me and Vishwa, that when we started shooting the podcast, in our minds, a video would be like 100 MB, 200 MB, because when we torrent a movie, we get like a full movie in 300,
yeah,
500, 600 MB, and that's like 1080p movie. And then we recorded
yeah,
the first video. It was a 3-minute introduction video, and it came out to be 2 GB on my phone and 2 GB on Vishwat's phone. And we were like, what do we do with such large videos? And when we recorded the episode, it was like a 10 GB video. We were just lost. We were like, wow, this
yeah,
is too much. How are we going to transfer the data from Toronto to India and India to Toronto? That was a very
yeah.
funky experience.
That sort of leads into my next question, is that for me, while editing the podcast, every week or so my laptop goes, "Hey, I'm full. Please clean something." How do you deal with 500, 600 GB of data on a daily basis?
On a daily basis. A lot of hard drives. I think I've spent more money on hard drives than I've actually on my travels. Honestly, like it's almost 30,000 worth of hard drives for each project that I shoot. You can imagine the number of hard drives. I think I'll have more than HDDs. If I talk about HDDs, were more than 200 GBs of HDDs and almost 100 GB of SSDs. No, sorry.
Wait, you mean GB or TB?
Wait. TB, yes. 200
TB.
TB. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like 500 GB बोल रहे हो, यहाँ 200 GB बोल रहे हो, कुछ कहीं यूनिट कन्वर्जन में दिक्कत हो गई है.
Yeah. 200 TB, almost HDDs मिल जाएंगी. And then you like keep on buying new hard drives. You keep on like, and also like the hard drives are not reliable.
Yep.
HDDs are not reliable. Like after a year, they are not reliable. So we don't. take care of them. Like, maybe just, some old files that we want to transfer that we don't need much.
Now that we are in the realm of cost of goods, let's discuss cost of goods. Let's say I am a photographer. I wish to become one. I wish to take over wedding photography for myself or music video photography for myself. What kind of cost do I sustain? How expensive is it to do in India specifically? Because I feel like that's where your experience lies. So what kind of expenses am I looking at?
If you're starting out as a photographer, I would definitely suggest you to start with a smaller camera to get the basic of it. And once you are sure you want to invest a good deed and you have that time and commitment to this kind of work, because so you can definitely go with a basic body, full frame body of a Nikon, Sony, or a Canon, whichever brand you prefer. I think all of them are the same. It's just your preference and what you're used to.
Can we have your preferences on here though? We would love to hear what your preferences are as well.
Have been a Nikon user ever since I started photography. I just love the colors of the Nikon, and I'm used to the ergonomics and how the menu system works, the UI, UX, and everything. So I prefer Nikon for my pictures, definitely. And yeah, so basic expense that you can go with a basic body, I think will be 1.2 lakhs.
Say hello to my Nikon.
Hi, we are a dying breed. Good to see another Nikon person.
As I said, somebody gifted me a camera. This is that camera.
So the basic body will cost you almost 1 to 1.5 lakhs. You get a full frame mirrorless body, and it can go till 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, depending upon how much coins you have in your pocket. Usually, coins are the only thing that are left after you buy a camera.
So what is a body? So what is a body? Can you explain what a frameless, mirrorless body means?
A camera body. So, like when we were growing up, it was all about DSLRs, right? DSLR hai, DSLR hai. सबके भी इसने DSLR खरीदा है. Somebody took a picture of me on a DSLR, and I post them on Facebook or Orkut at that time. But so DSLR is a digital single lens reflex, right? So how it works is this is a camera body. Just a second, guys.
We're getting live demo, Akhil.
Anybody listening on Spotify, please tune into the YouTube video for actually being able to see the camera, and we're gonna get a hands-on demo.
So this is a DSLR, right? And over here, what you see is the mirror, right? So how it works is you put a lens on it, the light enters, hits the sensor, right? And then it goes up, and then it shows over here. So there's a mirror, lens reflex is happening, right? But in a mirrorless, it directly goes on the sensor. There's no reflection. Those are lighter, more faster, more 2023 cameras that you would like to use with the autofocus system,
So we are at the cameras. We have bought a camera. Now what's next?
a lens. You need a good lens. If you're taking pictures, if you're doing concerts, I would suggest you to go with something like a 2470, so you can take wides and close-ups and everything. 2470 is the most versatile lens you can ever buy. It's a 2.8 lens aperture, and it gives you a very good depth as well. And you can shoot wides, close-ups, mids, whatever you want to. It's a like one man army kind of thing. And that would cost, if you are going for a 2.8 series, that would cost you 1.5 lakhs approx.
Okay.
Almost 3 lakhs, yeah. And then you need extra batteries. Each battery must cost 5,000. The memory cards that I am using, they cost 64 GB. 164 GB is 10,000 rupees because they are very fast, extremely fast. So they are very expensive, but like if you buy a normal 64 GB, like a SanDisk, so you can get it for like 1,000, 1,200 bucks. But this costs more because it's more safer, more faster. And after shooting for like 18 hours a day, and if I'm copying my data from a SanDisk to my SSD, it takes approximately 15 minutes to copy, and this thing copies in 3 minutes. So I pay for the extra amount of sleep I can get on a shoot day.
100%. I think if you're shooting 15, 16 hours a day, every minute of sleep extra is a minute earned.
Of course. Yeah.
What other equipment are we missing?
For shooting concerts, I think we are all like, maybe a flash. You can always, experiment with a flash, lighting, modifiers on the flash. That would cost almost, it starts with basic as 10,000 and you can go till 30,000.
So it's a proper 4 lakh approximately, for around somewhere around 4 lakhs of investment.
Yeah, like if you want to shoot professionally, if you because in the market, it's basically like if you're shooting professionally or if you want to become a photographer, you gotta have a full frame camera, right? I'm not saying like people haven't done good job on a APS-C sensor as well. Like the smaller cameras and the newer, lower range cameras also, they are fantastic. Like Fujifilm makes the XT series, XT3, XT4, XT5, and those are APS-C cameras, but they cost the same. But they're brilliant cameras as well. So any camera which is around like the range of 1 lakh, that's like a starting for anybody, I guess.
So we are down with the cameras. Also, 4 lakh assumption is I only need one camera if I'm shooting a concert.
One lens.
One lens, one camera, and maybe we need a lot more. Let's talk about people. How many people do you need? Let's talk about wedding photography. That's your areas of expertise. So how many people do you have under you?
Right now, the team it's a team of five in-house, and then there are a lot of other people that we work with regularly as freelancers. So it's like we have two teams. Like we take up two weddings on the same. We can take up two weddings on the similar dates if that happens. But generally, we don't like to take up too many projects and hold ourselves with a lot of work. We will believe that better quality than quantity. That definitely depends on the like some people go with a lower range wedding and they take up more weddings. Some people take up decent weddings and decent number of weddings. Some people take up very premium weddings, but then they only do 15-20 weddings in a year, which is good enough for them.
So since we are on the topic of wedding photography, Ankit, explain the economics of wedding photography to me. Because I have seen at weddings, especially during like the Jamal or something like that, there is, if I'm standing in the crowd and I'm looking at the bride and the groom, first I have to see a gaggle of photographers, and then I see the bride and the groom. And it's always like a, it's like a show, like, there's a boxing match to get through, and like, there's so many people, so many photographers, so many lights. Like हमें कम दिख रहा है, उन्हें मतलब फोटोज के लिए सब सब अलग है.
See, that generally happens when there's a not a coordination in the team and the photographers, the clients, and the event managers, right? The decorators. Because what happens is, uh, India mein, I feel like, the lighting is usually the main issues at weddings. Proper light नहीं है, face पे light नहीं आ रही है, कहीं से orange light आ रही है, there's some purple light coming on the face. And I can take those pictures because that is the lights that you have decided. But then at the end of the day, you will come back to me and tell me, why is my skin looking purple? Because you have put those LED lights purple, we can take, but then we have to use our own light to diffuse those to overcome that purple or the tints or the green tints in the decor that we have. So if it is well coordinated before, you can coordinate it with the bride and the groom or the whoever you're coordinating with, and then the decorators and the event managers, what kind of LED lights you want, how much light you want. If that is well coordinated, and so the light thing goes off there. Right. And about the photographers, fighting among themselves to take the shot, that also usually happens when there are two teams of the shoot.
Right.
Right. Suppose the groom has hired a team, because and the bride has hired a team, bride side has hired a team, and there are two people, so they don't have a coordination among themselves. And that goes like, मुझे भी shot चाहिए, तुझे भी shot चाहिए. At the end of the day, the quality of the work goes lower because both of them just want basic कि ये shot आना है. They won't think कि ये shot और अच्छे से कैसे आ सकता है because they want कि we don't want to miss the shot. So there's no coordination among the teams. Usually that happens. Other thing that happens is if they hire one team, suppose, and but the team members are not like coordinated among themselves, like because they haven't done enough shoots, between them. So that also might be a possibility why that happens.
So when you say that you are a team of 5 people, and if you're hired for a wedding, does that mean 5 of you are shooting, or what is it?
It completely depends on the size of the wedding. The team size of the in any wedding is decided the number of events that are happening, the number of guests coming, and what kind of services we are providing to the client.
And how do you coordinate between the 5 of you to make sure that the issues that I spoke about don't happen?
Can we still have a role breakdown though? What are the roles for each of them? Like an assumption of roles. Let's have.
So with my team particularly, we have a habit of looking at each other every 5 seconds. The whole team coordinates through hand gestures and eyes, because we have worked with each other over so many projects. The coordination is like we don't even have to call each other, or we don't even have to every 5 seconds we just look at each other and see, like suppose somebody is in my frame, they are shooting and they're in my frame, they know that after 5 seconds they have to look at me, and I'll just have to do this and they get out of the frame. It's as simple as that. The coordination among the team. And if there's a big wedding, right, we use walkie-talkies, obviously. They're complete, like if the venue is big, if we have multiple locations, multiple teams shooting, so you coordinate through walkie-talkies and everything. So that doesn't happen. And usually it's we coordinate also, what lenses. Suppose there are two photographers on the set, right? And since you guys are shooting, so I'm sure what MMs are in the lenses, right? So it's like the smaller the number on a lens, the more wider it is, right? And the opposite. So suppose I am on 35, which is a decent size frame, particularly wide, and so the other photographer, just by looking at my lens, he knows that since I am on 35, he goes on the other lens, a tighter lens. He goes on 50 or 85 to shoot the similar moment from a different angle and a closer angle. And the same goes with cinematographers as well. So that is coordinator. We just look at each other's lenses and we coordinate, what lenses we are using, how we are shooting. And one of the best part is, because it's a wedding and so many things are happening at this so many, same time. So suppose fairas are happening and I am shooting the groom and the bride. And the same moment, if the bride's and the angle that I am in, I can't see the bride's mother and she's about to cry, or she's teary eyed, so my teammate will make sure that he tells it to me and I take those pictures. Like the coordination is like that. You don't miss those shots because everybody is looking everywhere all the time.
I have a question and I have an activity. So we'll start with the question. The question is, why do you guys shoot the people who are eating food? It is like the most asked question on the planet, that why do photographers shoot us eating food? Let us please eat in silence.
I think the per plate cost is more, so we just make sure that nobody is taking two plates at a time. Just kidding. We don't shoot in the initial conversation, like a proposal that we share with the client. In our terms and conditions, the first thing that is written is we don't shoot people eating food until and unless it is a ritual. And this is the first thing, like because I have got like
I think
Marwadi
that is an
clients and Gujarati
advertisement
clients.
enough. That is enough of an advertisement for people to hire your company than anybody else.
There we go, guys. Higher House of Tales. They do not take food of people eating. Not food. They don't take pictures of people eating. They don't take food of people eating. Vishruth, lovely.
So yeah, because I've had Marwadi clients and Gujarati clients, coming to me and they're like, we want pictures because they have usually everything, after the wedding when they're sitting for dinner, either the groom side or the bride side, सबको आके निवाला देते हैं, which is a good thing. But we usually don't because quotation में लिखा हुआ है. ये क्या ही होगा लोगों के खुले मुंह के काजू बर्फी की फोटोज लेके.
उन्हें ना उन्हें ना काजू बर्फी की फोटो नहीं, उनके लाड की फोटो चाहिए.
Yes, that is true. No offense against that. That is their way of showing love, and I appreciate that. But that is not something that we prefer doing. So yeah,
They want the picture to signify their love, not the food. And the thing is, apart from them, nobody gets it.
yeah.
Chalo, Ankit, since we've spoken so much about photographers and wedding photographers, let's get you to anti-cell photographers. So, can you convince me to not have a photographer at my wedding? That's the activity.
I can. Of course, I can. Definitely. But if you don't want to go with a professional photographer, definitely. But if you want to, just don't want a photographer on your wedding.
It's not about professional. Convince me to not hire a photographer for my wedding. I want you to sell anti-sell photographers.
खुद के पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारूंगा अब.
Anti-sell photographer. Let's see how well you can do that.
Okay. Do you like getting pictures clicked?
Not particularly.
Okay. What about you, Akhil? Do you get conscious when you're taking pictures?
I don't get particularly conscious, but I just am not a fan.
Okay. Why not? What makes you like, what like uncomfortable about it?
I feel like my soul gets trapped in a camera. No, that's a joke. I feel that it's unnecessary. I don't go on photos. I don't go and see them again. I feel like I should live in the moment.
Of course, you should definitely live in the moment, embrace the moment and, be there in the moment. But I have always had a debate within myself about the same thing, taking picture of the moment and living the moment. And I feel like you can always live the moment after you take a picture of it. Like it just takes a second, right? You just click a picture and then be in the moment. Nobody told you. Because I feel at the end of the day, people leave, time goes away. Your old clothes won't fit you anymore. शादी में पनीर के सब्जी में जो नमक था वो कम था, वो किसी को याद नहीं रहेगा, right? Like your decor lights were not great, वो भी किसी को याद नहीं रहेगा. But at the end of the day, people close to us leave, they die. Sometimes they move away from our lives. Pictures and memories are the only thing that remain with us. Those are going to be, your lifetime memories with you. Not only about weddings, but in general, when you're meeting friends, you never know when was the last time you are going to meet somebody.
The activity here is for you to anti-self photography.
Yeah, I know.
You are still selling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, right. So those memories are important to be stored. I get it. But then there are also teams which doesn't let you, or there are photographers which with they don't let you feel what you are feeling because they have so much, overpowering of the pictures of the not giving you enough privacy or not giving you enough time to feel the environment that you are in. Like how when you're getting ready, they'll ask you to, sherwani to wear the sherwani like this, but they won't let a single moment between the mother and the son, to, how are you feeling, beta? Because they won't let them talk. Or usually that doesn't happen because there are photographers around, right? So that is, I think, one of the reasons uh, if you should hire, if you end up hiring somebody, you should hire a professional photographer with good reviews rather than hiring anybody. If you don't want to hire anybody, you should not.
I love it. Ankit in anti-selling photographers has anti-sold most photographers and he's like, नहीं मुझे hire करो. He's anti-sold photographers and sold himself in the same conversation. I love it.
You have to do that, right? I think it's a how do I say? I think Vishwat would understand, it's a Marwadi thing.
Dhanda is king, my friend.
You're from the Bania? अरे perfect, yeah. देख व्यापार और प्यार दोनों में भरपूर होना चाहिए लाइफ में.
Awesome, Ankit. So, just as a wrap, we have this thing where we ask you a question that's left for you by a previous person who's come on our podcast, and then you leave a question for the next person who comes on. So, talk about your first hire. How was that experience like?
My first hire, like I'll go through the very basic starting. So as I told you, I used to read a lot of books back then. Like I almost used to read one book a day, but never had the money to buy books because student and nobody would pay that much for to buy books. So I became friends with the manager of a crossword in Kota, the only crossword in Kota, right? And he would allow me to sit. So nobody else was allowed to sit more than 30 minutes over there and to read a book, but he would allow me to, he would just to give me a corner and I used to read for hours over there, like 3, 4 hours. And over there, I started reading. There used to be this photography magazine called Better Photography. Like, growing up, so you started reading those and started teaching myself, tricks and tips. So always used to get like, Raj Lalwani, the photographer at that time at Better Photography, one of the photographers. He has inspired me a lot. And then there's another photographer called Aditya Venkatesh. He is famous by the name Audi Photography. So he's like one of the pioneers, on Instagram in India, shooting travel and landscapes and everything. And I used to be in awe of the pictures. I still am. So that, ignited a well. And then I used to read those magazines. And then one day, the manager of the store, he came to me. He's like, Ankit, you don't buy the magazine, but you read the magazine and put it back in the packet. And then I have to sell it to somebody else. Like, what are you learning from this? I'm learning photography. Like, do you have a camera? I said, yeah, I have a very basic camera with one lens, the basic Nikon 3200 with a 1855 lens. Like that is the basic kit lens you can ever go. It's like I'm trying this new thing. Kota never had a book launch event, and at that time there's this writer called Ravindra Singh. He came to Kota for his book launch, and the manager asked me if I would like to shoot the event. So I was like, sure. I don't know how to shoot, like, because I haven't done it, like, around people. And I used to take landscapes or things that I liked. But, like, car trails, रास्ते पे लोगों की फोटो खींच ली, sunset की फोटो खींच ली, पेड़ की फोटो खींच ली. Like the basic, whatever, newbie camera you go to. And then you used to use the Lomo effect, give those PixArt and, that green cringe effect and everything and use those.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this time I was like, sure, let's do that. Let's take some pictures. And I shot the pictures and he asked me, how much I'll charge. I said, whatever you want to pay me. And the first amount that I got was 500 bucks. And that was 25% of my pocket money. Right? I used to get a pocket money of 2K a month. And उसमें 500 रुपए extra महीने के. So that was like a huge thing. I still have that 500 rupees note with me. I've never spent it, right? Because that was the first income that I ever had.
यार अब तो you can't even spend it.
And now I can't even, yeah. इससे अच्छा अकाउंट में डिपॉजिट करवा लेता, बट ठीक है.
नहीं यार, sentimental value होती है. As you said, pictures have sentimental value, memories have sentimental value. So like that, mementos and things like this also have sentimental value.
Definitely.